Good morning, and welcome. I'm Lisa Mosbey, the host of Living with Favor. Thank you so much for tuning in and letting me share a little bit of advice, and welcome back. On Living with Favor, we talk about faith, abundance, vitality, overflow, and relationships. And so as spring approaches, this is the time of year that I truly want to dive into vitality, where we get to talk about food and nutrition, and we talk about cleansing and detoxing. Last week, I had Sarah on from Tonica Wellness, and she was talking about cleansing and detoxing. Her and her husband have been holistic health practitioners. She's a holistic nurse. They've been in the herbal field for close to combined 50 years. I myself, 30 years. So it was a great conversation. I invite you to go check that out. Cleansing and detoxing are really important. When we have things going on, whether it's emotional or physical, we need to look inward, look into our body and see the health and the condition of our body, which brings us to today's conversation. We're introducing lots of this stuff for the spring, talking about the mind, the body, the spirit, and the health of our overall being. So today, we are energizing our mind, body, and spirit with my expert guest, Heather Grutzmacher. Heather specializes in holistic living and Ayurvedic sciences. She spends her days meditating, dancing, and connecting people. So, of course, our topic is going to be all about energizing your life with meditation and movement. Welcome, Heather. Come on the screen. Please join me.
Good morning, Lisa. Thank you for having me once again. I can't wait to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, so I'm so excited to have you. Heather and I had a conversation early on when I first started doing podcasting. And so I keep telling her, let's create a series. So we're not there yet, but I think I want to introduce and say we've talked about doing a series on health and wellness. I don't know if it's just going to be the two of us, or we might bring a panel and maybe do this with a foursome, is what we're thinking, and create a series. That way we can put it out on the podcast, but we can also get it into the emails of those folks that can't always tune in or don't watch the podcast. So stay tuned for that. And if you hear this message, feel free to DM me and poke me and say, hey, where's the series? Hey, where's the series? Let me know that you're interested in that, and we'll create that for you guys. But Heather, tell us a little bit about how you got started in this field, Ayurvedic sciences, holistic living, food, health, wellness, movement, all of those pieces combined. How did you get introduced to this work?
I think it was always in my awareness. So my number one was my grandfather. He built gardens. It was like his retirement project because he liked to be busy and out of the house and outside and work with his hands. So I grew up around gardening, which is a conversation around nourishment, right? It was always there. I would come home from school, he would be pulling tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers and snap peas, or there'd be a basket on my step. Oh, Grandpop was here when we got off the bus from school. So
Yeah.
he was a major influence. And then just being a dancer, having to take care and getting to take care of my body in a meticulous way, almost like a pro athlete. I danced in college, and really looking at the mind muscle of what are you putting into your body? It's like the number one priority above anything.
Yeah. That's interesting. My grandmother and her garden were my influence. I mean, I would eat those wild grapes over the garage so much that I would projectile. Yeah, I know. Or we'd pick food right out of the garden. And I've always had a garden. Now I'm in a townhome and I have containers with herbs, but I've always had a garden. So I miss that. So I'm always curious, because those of us that are in health and wellness, there's always a layover. There's always an overlap. Our stories contain some similar messages in them. And that's kind of fascinating to me, to get to know where people come from and how they get into this. you know, um, I probably already know the answer to this, but what does spring mean to you? When we're coming into that time out of hibernation, we're in Florida, so for us it's a little different than those folks in the North Country, but there's still a change. There's a change in our body and our mind and the sunlight. How do you feel about spring? What shows up for you? What do you experience through the process of spring?
Well, first, about a month ago, my allergies come. So I know spring is coming, which I'm actually grateful for the itchiness, because I know that the warm weather is coming and the sun and the time change of longer sunshine.
Yeah.
I'm someone who's always been affected by like seasonal weather growing up in the northeast part of the country. Too much dark for me isn't good. It's one of the reasons I moved to Florida. So more sunlight, which means for me more living life in vibrancy outside.
Mhm.
Um, that's where my happy place is. I like to run around in my bare feet. And if I could go to the grocery store with no shoes on, I would. I actually have friends who do that. They walk around Sprouts with bare feet. So just knowing that it feels like more free,
Yeah.
that there's sun out longer. I'm very into nature in the seasons. And then it also means summer's coming, which means everybody's generally happier because there's less programming with school and the busyness of our lives that are dictated around school and children and overscheduling, in my opinion.
Wow.
There's more freedom in the collective energy in spring and summer. And I think I feel that.
Yeah. The barefoot thing too, I agree. Like we got to get outside. We got to get grounded. You were talking about you are the most grounded person. Me, what makes our friendship beautiful is Heather is grounded. She's sitting, in peace on the ground and holding the balloon, which is me floating up there, going all over and get down here, sit, meditate. That's our dynamic.
It's
Um,
beautiful. It's the ecosystem of feminine energy together. Also, we balance each other, Lisa. So thank you.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah. Um, Energizing through meditation and movement. When I think of meditation, I think of calm and peace. I don't think about energizing and lifting up and expanding, but in fact, you teach this exact concept that we need to go slow to go fast. How do we get benefits from that? How does that correlate and work with our body and our mind and our spirit when we need to, energize? How do we get energized from meditation and movement? Can you share some thoughts on that?
Sure. So, are you care if I did give like a science nerd moment? Yeah.
No,
So,
the more the better. You're the expert. We want to feed these
okay.
people that are watching. Go. The mic is yours now.
Everybody gets your pen and paper out. Science nerd moment. So when we're awake right now, I'm in the room, I'm in my living room, and I'm on technology with Lisa. So there's energy coming in. You're awake in a hyper metabolic rate. So your body's going, you're taking in information, you're awake, you're activated, you're reacting and responding without even awareness. Then you become a meditator, which my practices that I've learned is Vedic, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. And I usually do 40 and 40, is giving yourself time to go from that top level in the ocean where you're in hypermetabolic information is happening and there's sun and there's birds and there's boats and there's noise,
Yeah.
to the bottom of the ocean energetically is the analogy we're taught with Vedic, where it's dark and you know that there's energy out here, but you're able to not respond and react at all and just sit with the knowing that it's up here and you'll get back to it. But for right now, you get to enjoy the bottom of the ocean where it's dark and calm, and just keep choosing that. And you keep going inward. And my goal of the science is I also choose to add a layer of yoga nidra, which is body scanning to get you out of the thoughts, invite the thoughts in, know that they're going to happen, but you're actually choosing with full awareness to not respond or react or judge, make good or bad, right or wrong, that fight or flight response in the brain and the body. So I also take it a layer deeper, not just with mantra, which is a mind vehicle, meaningless word that you repeat inside during the meditation practice. I actually get into body scanning and breathing so that the thoughts are even less and you're channeling constantly back to your body instead of the monkey mind thoughts, which are running, the tiger's coming, and you get to sit in meditation and become the tiger yourself.
As I need to sit back in my chair. And that's true. Just being in your presence, though, it kind of calms a person down. As you're listening, I'm noticing like my shoulders are dry. Like I get excited and anticipate, and I lean forward when I introduce the show, and I'm always excited to have guests. But then it's kind of like, okay, I can sit back and we can be calm, and we'll still convey that same message. And it may actually land better if we come from that place of calm and peace and yeah, just connection rather than being excited and over, kind of over the top where it's pushing people away sometimes. So there's that great balance that you bring with that peace and that calmness. Um, you mentioned monkey mind, and I am very much, I've practiced meditation for a long time. So I have two questions.